From Super League to Olympic distance to age group world records to Kona. Go longer with the right fuel at the right time with SFuels.
This is a phenomenal bike ride, and I can tell you he's so casual. This is his first time he's ever biked the full 112 miles here in Hawaii. He's never been up to the turn in Harvey. He's certainly been up there today.
A big ship sailing on the ocean. I say, a big ship sailing on the ocean. And it's breakfast with Bob. 'Cause it's breakfast with Bob.
Poncho Man! Thanks, everybody. Welcome back to our 11th year of Breakfast with Bob from beautiful Huggles on the Rocks. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're brought to you by Master Spas, SFuels Go Longer, HOKA, Let's Fly, Forum Smart Swim Goggles, Quintanaroo, Zoot, the original Triathlon brand, and of course, our Challenged Athletes Foundation. Our next guest, Mr. Daniel Baekkegard. Daniel, how you doing, brother?
Thanks a lot, Bob.
Yeah!
Yeah, it's nice to be here, finally.
Finally, right? Now, the last time, you had 15th here in 2019.
Yeah.
And you had problem with the aero bars and all sorts of, like everything went wrong.
Something like
and
that.
And you still got 15.
Yeah, I had to get something back home, with me back home, so I had to finish the job. And I spent all my money coming here, so I'll not just go for pokey and acai bowls. That's for sure.
But then at Ironman World Championship St. George, you get 7th, right? And 47-minute swim, 4:16, 2:54, 8:02. That's an impressive race on that course.
Yeah, I think we all learned a lot in St. George on how to race a course like that. You know,
Yes.
It's of course World Championships is just another dynamic and basically another race than any other.
Right.
And also not being here, it's sometimes we kind of know how things will go in this race and what to expect, but that was just a whole other race in St. George. So. It's exciting to kind of tackle a whole new course and a whole new environment here in Hawaii instead.
So, and you also had in 2022, you had 70.3 Worlds St. George, right?
21, yeah.
21, I'm sorry. You got the 3rd there.
Yeah,
So
true.
you like St. George?
I like St. George. It's a nice city, and also they put up some remarkable races there. Cool race courses and very friendly people. So I love those kind of races. So
How have you changed as an athlete since the last time you were here? That's 3 years.
I think in basically any way that you can change. I came here last time, and basically everything is a learning curve, and it's a process, and you have to kind of take in all the hits along the way and learn from that. Unfortunately, it's not always I learn the lessons or remember the lessons I learned, so some of them I do twice, but basically I think I just it's kind of cringing saying, but I think I just been growing up a bit, and that's I think you can see that in my style of racing and my training as well.
After what you went through here in 2019, how do you see this race playing out? You've raced all these Sam Laidlaw, all these guys. You're going to have some fast swimmers, right? It could be an interesting group dynamic this year. Yeah,
I think in total, the whole sport it's a complete new sport now compared to 2019. So the dynamics will be completely different than what we've seen in a lot of years, because we have way more contenders here than we had in 2019.
Right.
Everybody wanted to kind of build the race to be exciting, but I think deep down everybody knew what was going to happen, that nobody would probably be able to beat Jan other than Jan himself. So this time I think, of course, we have Christian and Gustav, and probably also Lionel, who's close to that kind of level. But as we saw in St. George, it's not impossible to beat those guys, because they're not perfect athletes. And as you say, we have a lot of strong swimmers here, and that can kind of form a pretty strong lead pack who can also, surprise, we can also bike and run. So I think that will I think the men's race will be pretty exciting this year and a bit different than what we've been used to see here on the island.
Well, and when I look, the fact that you had all that bike issue in 2019, the fact that you still ran sub 250 and ran 249 off the bike, that you've got to gain something from that. The fact that you didn't give up, you were not having your day, you must have passed a ton of people during that run.
Yeah, of course you have to take the positives, and from an experience like that and a race like that. But it's, of course I learned a lot, and my team learned a lot that day. But triathlon is far more complex than just sitting there or being happy about a fast run off the bike. Because
right.
The case was I was not able to push the bike at all, so my power was like terrible, and of course that also affects the off-bike run afterwards.
Right.
So that's also what we've been working a lot on, the fact that I need to be able to keep a high power on the bike, and of course also run fast and strong off the bike. I think that will be the key here for sure, because nobody's going to let up on the bike at all. So.
You just came off of 11th at PTO US Open. When people talk about heat, you had a little bit of heat there. I mean, that's brutal.
Yeah, that was a complete other race than here. When we're talking about weather and conditions, I think it was actually I feel like it's better here than it was in Dallas, because it was just hot, no humidity at all, just hot. And I like humidity a bit more. It makes you sweat a bit more, and it's that race was just tough. But then again, the course, I think, of course, it's difficult to race on a where you do like 8 loops or 5 loops or whatever we did on the bike. But it was still cool, the fact that we actually, PTO and the athletes was actually able to make a middle distance race kind of exciting to watch for the crowd as well. Right. The fact that we came through so many times as we did. So I think in terms of like progressing in the sport as and making it more interesting for people outside to actually watch, I think that was kind of groundbreaking. And I hope we will see many other courses like that. And we can watch the road race at the UCI, the cycling World Championships, and we could throw in a hill there, or we could do whatever like they did in Bermuda one year at the WTS. So I feel like when we've kind of experienced that kind of race, and we can now see that it's possible to make races like that. I see there's a great potential and a huge future in those types of races.
So you grew up as a swimmer. When did you make the decision that you're going to move to triathlon, and what led to that?
I think I was 16 when I kind of changed focus. But it was actually a couple of years leading into that, because I've just been watching triathlon and whatever on like Ironman and short distance races and whatever on YouTube, and gotten interested in that beforehand. So I've always been a fan of cycling and running as well, just sports in general. And then then I just started triathlon, and pretty quick came under the wings of the former national coach. And from there, it just kind of began ups and downs and fun trips and everything that goes within triathlon.
Did you start out thinking Olympics and WTS type of races, or did you quickly move 70.3?
I started having Olympics in mind. Of course, coming up as a swimmer, that's the way we kind of think. But afterwards, I saw I probably had a bit more potential in middle distance and long distance, and that was why we chose that was kind of the path. And I'd say right now I do not really regret the fact that I chose long distance. It's pretty nice to be in Hawaii and in Kona.
Yes.
So that's basically. I feel like it's another testament that the sport is far more competitive and professional now. The fact that you cannot really do well at both, sitting here saying that and having Christian Blumenfeld, of course, winning the Olympic
gold and then coming and winning Ironman, yeah.
Exactly, but I still feel like there's a lot of guys coming up from the WTS who have not really proven themselves on the long distance scene, and I hope that's that's a fact because the sport is more professional and people actually do well on middle distance and long distance now. And the fact that the level is just that high, you have to specialize within, one sport of triathlon,
right,
if you could say so.
Well, that's why I like a race like with the PTO distance. You bring people down from 70.3 up from WTS, and then you got your Ironman people mixed in there. When you can compete with when you look at the people in front of you and you go, okay, 70.3, 70.3, 70.3, I'm going to Kona. You got to look at it and go, okay, the guys I'll be racing with in Kona, I'm right there with them.
Yeah, exactly. And, I really look forward to the 200 kilometer race that PTO will throw in a couple of years.
Yes.
I think that's also pretty exciting. Because with the 20 meter draft rule, it's going to be a whole other race than what we see typically in an Ironman race.
Right.
We just see that right now, the fact that there's a lot of guys who actually makes the podium on top 5 in PTO races, who you would normally not really see in a 70.3 race because of all the things that typically happens in Ironman races. So I feel like we have some pretty exciting years ahead when it comes to racing, and for all fans of the sport, I think it's a time to really enjoy.
What's cool is PTO, Ironman 70.3, Super League, WTS, Challenge, Clash. There's a lot of variety. As a professional athlete, you can sort of pick and choose where you want to go.
Yeah, that's. I think actually the Super League was one of the founding reasons why a lot of other brands started to do as they've done.
Yes.
I think that's just a cool format. Of course, it's nice when the event only takes 1 hour in total or whatever.
Yeah,
so
for 3 different heats. Yeah,
exactly. So it's not that long of duration, and that will keep people interested. But seriously, I've started to watch every race this year, and I love it.
It's great.
It's so
theater.
great, so great racing, and of course the commentary thing, the broadcasting is also a whole new level, and that's. I feel like that's very important to just create attention around the sport.
Well, like we were talking earlier, I was talking with Sam Laidlaw, you guys aren't just athletes, you're entertainers, right? Because you're creating stuff on YouTube, you're doing social media, you have to be way more than just an athlete in this day and age, but you're one of those guys who embraces that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to make it that horrible thing that most people actually make it to. I kind of enjoy it, and it's a part of the game, and it's a part of life, and why not make the most of it and just embrace it? I think we kind of as Sebi and Jan and all those guys, back to Maka and Crowe, they all kind of put us in a certain position to. Within the sport, and it's also our job to make sure that the future generations will have even better racing and more publicity and so on. So I feel like we're also obligated for the love of sport to actually do well in terms of marketing and media, and that's why we're here.
The other thing that PTO did this summer, that Herbalife LA Triathlon with the relay, and which I didn't realize before, your brother's an amputee, and we had our Challenge Athletes Foundation athletes out there, and I think at the end of the day, somebody who's in a wheelchair or somebody who's an amputee, they're athletes, and they have the same goals, the same expectations as everybody else. What did you, growing up with a brother who was an amputee, what did you gain from that?
Huge amount of respect, first of all, for the challenges they have to go through, and of course so many things. It's difficult just to point one thing out, but as you say, they are human beings, and they are athletes as well.
Yes.
We go through the complete same things, as like just because you are an amputee doesn't mean that you don't feel the pain out at 30 kilometers in Energy Lab. Or
Exactly.
Like everything is the same. Of course, they have some challenges they have to go through that we don't have to face on a daily basis, but that's what I've learned. Like it is, we are basically all human beings, and of course they also want to be treated as equals and human beings. But I get why people who are not living with an amputee in the family or close by feel scared to say something or to engage. But like I can only recommend people to do that, because it's great also to learn about other people and learn about their stories and what they have had to go through. That probably will also motivate yourself to maybe do a bit more or understand other people's lives in general.
I think that's what makes our sport great. It is an equal opportunity abuser. It doesn't care missing a leg or if you're in a wheelchair or if you're an able-bodied guy. Get from point A to point B. That's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. It is. So.
Love it. Daniel, have a great race. What would it mean to you to win this race?
Oh, it will mean a whole lot. Of course, it was the race I started. Of course, Kona is like the race where you see on YouTube with the NBC coverage and everything. So it would be amazing to win it. But I'm young in the sport, and I have probably 10 more years, if not more, in this sport. So I think it will come. If it does not happen this time, it will come eventually. So I'm not stressed about it.
Daniel Baekkegard has been our guest, everybody. Poncho Man, take us out.
There's a time when the sea gets rough. What you do, Mr. Man? You got to hold on. You got to hold on. Fisherman say, big ship sailing on the ocean. Oh, big ship sailing on the ocean. And breakfast with Bob.
Poncho Man, everybody.